I think every company in the world should recapitalize on Bitcoin. So like that's 400 million companies. So I think all 400 million should. I think every family, every individual should. I think every government should. I think Microsoft should recapitalize on Bitcoin. I think your bakery should. I think all the Bitcoin miners should. You're going to make money. You'll rinse and repeat. You're going to go from a $5 billion or a $2 billion business to 10 billion, 20 billion, 40 billion, 80 billion, 160 billion. That is the Bitcoin way. You want the thing you invest in to go up faster than the S&P index, and you want it to stay volatile. There's only one commodity in the history of the world that checks both of those boxes, and that's Bitcoin.
MicroStrategy co-founder and Bitcoin bull Michael Saylor discusses his prediction for all Bitcoin investors and why he believes trillions are about to pour into Bitcoin. After the Bitcoin halving, which Saylor says marked the beginning of an absolute surge in price, as we've seen multiple all-time highs for Bitcoin. Saylor believes Bitcoin is about to make history, as we witness one of the biggest price rises so far since the creation of the dominant cryptocurrency. The story has become even bigger because of the Bitcoin ETFs, with thousands of institutional investors across the United States now buying Bitcoin. The demand for the leading digital asset has increased exponentially, and Saylor says everything is about to change.
MicroStrategy has gone 100% Bitcoin, and we're pursuing all those various capital markets. And there's just large pools of investors that they need to buy. The people that trade equity want equity. The people that trade options need the options, and the people that trade the convertible bonds need the bonds. And they can't buy Bitcoin. They don't want Bitcoin. They really want the other instruments. And so we provide them that security they need. If you hold $1 million of USD and for 30 days, you're getting an annualized interest rate of SOFR, about 4.8%. If you hold $1 million of the S&P index, you're getting like 15%. If you hold $1 million of IBIT, before the options market on IBIT, you couldn't get anything. But just in the last month, when the options came alive, you can get like 80 to 100%. And with MicroStrategy, you could get 200%. So the volatility actually creates a really strong call rate. I mean, it attracts the hot money and the traders, and that's what creates the options market. And without the volatility, you can't sell a convertible bond. In order to sell a convertible bond, you need a volatility of more than 45. The S&P is 15. So if you're holding the S&P index or real estate or gold or bonds, you can't sell convertible bonds. But if you're holding Bitcoin, which is 60 vol, or if you lever Bitcoin, and we lever the Bitcoin to get to 120 vol, we can rinse and repeat that trade. We can, in essence, issue $1 billion in convertible bonds, buy Bitcoin, wait a month, do it again, wait a month, do it again, wait a month, do it again. So we're the most prolific issuer of convertible bonds in the world because we're the ones that have the best use of proceeds. What do you want? You want the thing you invest in to go up faster than the S&P index, and you want it to stay volatile, more volatile than the S&P index. And there's only one commodity in the history of the world that checks both of those boxes, and that's Bitcoin. And if you were risk adverse and if you diversified it, if you basically had half Bitcoin, half real estate, or half Bitcoin and a bunch of bonds or whatever, the fire goes out and you can't keep raising capital. So I think every company in the world should recapitalize on Bitcoin. So like that's 400 million companies. So I think all 400 million should. I think every family, every individual should. I think every government should. I think Microsoft should recapitalize on Bitcoin. I think your bakery should. I think all the Bitcoin miners should. So yeah, everybody should recapitalize on it. Right? You're talking about capitalizing on an asset that's 60% ARR, 60 vol, instead of an asset, the US dollar, that's 0 ARR, 0 vol. Another way to say it is, I think we ought to put an internal combustion engine in every horseless carriage. I think we ought to put a gasoline powered engine in every house, every plane, every train, every automobile, every factory, right? I mean, I want to put a fire in every vehicle on the planet. That's what Henry Ford did. That's what John D. Rockefeller did. They put a fire in everything. And I think you could think about this as a crypto reactor. fueled by Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the fuel. It's a crypto reactor. We should put one in everything. Now, in terms of the business model, let's think about the generic idea. The generic idea is you have assets. If they're going up 0% a year and the cost of capital is 15% a year, you're losing, it's minus 15% a year. Your capital is being destroyed. So that's the US dollar treasury strategy. The Bitcoin strategy is plus 45% versus the cost of capital. So everybody can do that. Meta, Apple, Microsoft, Disney, everybody can do that. Every Bitcoin miner.
Embracing an unyielding enthusiasm for the Bitcoin realm, Saylor confidently predicts that explosive growth is looming on the horizon, as BlackRock and many other crypto giants are doing just that. Saylor reassures that a long-expected surge awaits as we head into 2025.
When you buy Bitcoin, you're investing in an asset which is increasing 60% a year in productivity. So it's a very simple idea. Why would you burn 60% of your money every year, throwing it into a competitive hardware business where the protocol is taking you to zero, when you could increase your capital by 60% a year by simply buying the asset which the entire world wants? So that's what Mara is doing. That's what Hut 8 is going to do, right? That's what all the enlightened miners are doing. I think the fiat miners somehow think it's better to invest in data centers or invest in hardware. And by the way, you could say, well, we're going to switch to NVIDIA chips. The only difference between NVIDIA chips and Bitcoin mining chips is NVIDIA is depreciating 20% physically because it's burning out and obsolescing, and then another 20% depreciation because of competition. So instead of minus 60% a year, it's minus 40% a year. The more important point is every Bitcoin miner should recapitalize to Bitcoin. That's the important point, right? The big idea is there's like 20 publicly traded miners. When you raise $1 billion and you buy Bitcoin mining equipment, you're buying hardware which is depreciating 20% a year physically, where it's getting 20% a year less profitable because of the hash rate, where it's getting 20% a year less profitable because of the protocol. So you're buying something that is minus 60% a year in productivity. You're investing in an asset which is losing 60% a year in productivity. I think that if you're in the crypto ecosystem and you're a publicly traded company, you ought to recapitalize the Bitcoin. You should sell equity and you should sell debt to buy Bitcoin. You're going to make money. You'll rinse and repeat. You're going to go from a $5 billion or a $2 billion business to 10 billion, 20 billion, 40 billion, 80 billion, 160 billion. That is the Bitcoin way. The fiat way is you're going to invest in expensive electricity, expensive data centers, and depreciating NVIDIA chips or in depreciating in Bitmain chips. And that's basically taking you to zero, right? And that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, every other company in the world, every zombie company, every restaurant, every hotel, every travel company, every airline, every whatever, they've all got a US dollar capital structure. It's like you got a wood-burning stove in your house, and I'm telling you, put a crypto reactor and fuel it with Bitcoin, and you'll have unlimited clean energy forever. And the most useful thing we could do is get that word out and get people to wrap their head around the idea of a crypto reactor on your balance sheet where Bitcoin is the fuel. And if you do that, then your balance sheet becomes a wealth-creating asset.
Saylor challenges the conventional economic metrics, asserting that these metrics are often manipulated to paint a specific narrative, like labor statistics and inflation figures. The ongoing adoption of Bitcoin by governments, institutions, and media signifies a broader recognition of its value. However, Saylor asserts this journey is just beginning, comparing the initial years to the current widespread interest and investment, with a giant spotlight on Bitcoin ETFs. Saylor highlights this being a significant development in the financial ecosystem, selectively measured to create desired effects rather than reflecting the true state of the economy. In this context, Bitcoin emerges as an alternative, detached from the manipulations of the conventional economic sphere. Saylor also highlights that established corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Google will use their established relationships acquired over decades to swiftly acquire substantial amounts of Bitcoin through a spot ETF, bypassing the cumbersome processes involved in procuring the actual commodity. This disparity underscores the transformative power of cryptocurrencies in traditional financial institutions. Michael Saylor underscores the importance of embracing digital currencies as the economic landscape is changing rapidly, and urges investors to leverage Bitcoin's potential to secure a more prosperous financial future. What do you think about the latest interview with Michael Saylor? And how do you think Bitcoin's trajectory in the coming months will impact the crypto market and the world of investing?